I want you to listen to this piece because it is an important piece from a very intelligent Republican woman based on what she said in this particular interview. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Next November's midterms. That's inflation, identity politics, what they call identity politics, and immigration. And just like a laser pen with a cat, it will likely work with their voters. But Lucy, I have to start with you because you're not in the Republican Party anymore. And I love our conversations because I feel like you're just as outraged as many of us as you see the Republican Party openly embrace a lot of things that they've trafficked in for a long time. I have to ask, though, because you still talk to Republicans, I'd imagine. I don't understand how the GOP can run on anything other than, hey, guys, sorry we tried to overthrow the government and the will of the people, and we're really working on not being the party of white supremacy. Yet, I fear that these three I's will actually work with their base voters. What do you think?
Well, I think it's true. I think there is evidence to suggest it will work with their base voters. And that's in part based on how Democrats respond to these Republican talking points. I mean, when you look at someone like Steve Bannon being indicted a few weeks ago, he did it live streamed. He pled not guilty. He did a big parade. He, had tens of millions of people downloading his live stream all over the country because that is the power of the Trump cult, right? But I think that Democrats often, when they're addressing would-be voters, and no one's going to like to hear me say this, but everyone has a vote that counts. They are treating moderate voters as though they are part of the Trump cult and you are either with the Trump cult or you're not. Now, I am, as you say, a former Republican, and my litmus test for a candidate is, do you completely repudiate Trump and Trumpism and the proto-fascism that is today's Republican Party? Unfortunately, the Republicans I talk to, even those who are, say, would-be Biden voters, they do not feel that way going into 2022. They're not thinking about that as they think ahead to 2024. And so this is a matter of really appealing to their better angels. So we're asking them to do something that's hard. We're asking them to do something uncomfortable. You mentioned the identity politics. That's a huge issue. We need to run into those issues and say, why do you feel like things are changing in the way that your children are being taught in schools? How can we have a conversation about that? Could we appeal to your sense of maybe a better way? Because unfortunately, you're with Trump, you're against Trump, you're for democracy, you're not for democracy. That's not working. So we have to find a new way to appeal to those would-be centrist voters, because at the end of the day, they're all going to go turn out and vote.
Yeah. And, honestly, Lucy, we have to be honest about identity politics, because when we say things like NASCAR dads or soccer moms, all the euphemisms that the media has for traditionally white voters, that's also identity politics. And it shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be that hard. It should not be that hard. But if you notice what that Republican operative said, it's very important. She pointed out, and I think Democrats should heed this former Republican. She said the following: it is not working. Trying to malign Trump with some of these guys, it is not working. Additionally, trying to tell them otherwise, it is not working. She said, talk to them like I've spoken in my book. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. It's worth it. It really is. It is exactly what we need to do. Let me first tell you a little story about when I talk to people, mostly at my progressive sites, and tell them that I speak to everybody. I want to speak to Eric Hayes. I want to speak to Daniel Ledo. Now, Eric Hayes and Daniel Ledo are hardcore, and I don't have any thought of trying to change their votes, etc., because they don't have any desire to change. They have no desire to see truth. They have desire to come back all the time. But most people want to see truth. What people like Eric and Daniel do for me is they give me an opportunity to articulate on the fallacies that they articulate on, so that the people that follow them would hear the truth out of us and say, after all, Daniel is full of it. Okay, so that's one of them. But what she says there is even deeper. She says, why do you want to have these people with you, respecting you? And it's important because they vote. If you got anything out of the clip that we just played, because they vote. I've been told by my liberal proteges, forget about trying to talk to those folks on the right. They're nuts, they're crazy, it's not worth it. Many have told me that. And what this not this a woman just says is absolutely true. They vote. They vote. They vote. And you know what's the problem with many of the people on the left? They don't vote. If all the people on the left voted and all the people on the right voted, we would have left-wing landslide elections all the time because we support what the people say they want. Look in the polls. Nobody wants to call themselves a liberal. Nobody wants to call themselves a progressive. But when you ask them what policies you want, they all come and they say, we like what you're saying. We love what you're saying. So therefore, but they don't vote. So I love that woman who just said, remember, these people all vote. All right. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.